Good morning, Assalamu alaikum everyone. So my 9:30 appointment cancelled and I did some admin and then I thought, okay, what else can I do? And then I thought let's have a chat because there's something that was on my mind again recently. And it's got to do with the statements or the things we say to our kids that we don't actually see as bad. We don't actually see what we're saying as a bad thing. And there's lots of phrases, and I think that a lot of us aren't conscious of the phrases. I myself am guilty of so many of those phrases, more in the past than in the present. But the last few teenagers I've seen particularly have just, reiterated how important it is for us as parents to become aware of the messages that we give. And when a child or a teenager is perceived as problematic at school, it can cause a lot of tension between the parents, and it's like one may believe the child is innocent, one may believe the child is the problem as per the school's saying, and then that's the fight over that. But the one thing you should never ever say to your kids is, you're going to be the reason that your mother and I get a divorce, or you're going to be the reason that your father and I get a divorce. That never must the child's situation ever be used as as the reason why a couple may not want to be together. It's too much of a burden for your child to have this responsibility, and it isn't the responsibility. They are not responsible for your marriage, your relationship, your communication, whatever it is, your trust issues, whatever problems you're having. It's actually not the child's responsibility to hold that you can't say you'll be the reason why. The other thing is, I see quite a few kids in grade 11 and 12, and what's going on is a lot of pressure. So I've had 2 kids matriculate recently, not recently, in the last few years, but we can't add to the child's pressure. The school system, everywhere they go, everyone is putting pressure on them, telling them how important these years are for their entire future. So if it's a child that has an anxious temperament, they don't need a reminder about what's at stake. What they need from parents and what they need from teachers, if teachers are going to watch this, they need a support system that's going to say, okay, what can we do to support you? What do you need? What do you need? And sometimes you may just be the bringer of snacks or the printer of past papers, whatever it is you do. That's your job for now. That's your supporting role. Reminding kids in grade 11 and 12 over and over again is not a support system. Telling them they're going to fail because they want to play games is not support. I remember in 2020 when my daughter, when I was in matric, the one day I walked in and she was busy playing Fortnite, and I lost my shit. Like, what is going on here? You should be studying. And she turned to me and said to me, where were you the last few hours when I was studying? You just walked in on my break. This is my break. Go and check she asked for a notice board and she put up her schedule which she planned herself. And lo and behold, she was studying before that, and that was her break. So often parents, when you come into the room where you go and seek your child, you see them on their downtime. You immediately attack them to say, why aren't you studying, when you didn't realize that you missed the study part? You are now only catching the downtime. So I ask that you be mindful of that, and that children, as much as they need to study, they also need to relax, because their emotional and mental well-being is so vital. What's the point of having a child who has a whole lot of distinctions for matric, but emotionally and mentally, psychologically, they're a mess? You won't be able to sustain long-term studying if you yourself have so many emotional issues. So what we need to do is figure out, each of our kids are different. What we need to figure out is, how do I support my child? This means having a conversation with your child. So be careful not to say the things that are hurtful or that are not conscious. And we were all raised in a way that didn't teach us how to have healthy dialogue with our kids. So I'm hoping that this brief video will give you an idea of what not to say. And for me, stop, and I always say this, stop sending your kids that are damaged by you and the school system. And I'm so tired of the education department wanting to label kids, have them assessed and labeled. How is that going to help the child in any way by medicating the child and giving them a label? Yes, some children do need to be diagnosed. They do need medication. I'm not talking about those cases. I'm talking about the cases where you cannot cope with the class size or a child who is more active than others. And you can't just label a disruptive child one that needs to be diagnosed. Children aren't meant to sit still for long periods of time. It's unnatural. I can't sit still for long periods of time. But unfortunately, none of these things are factored into the education system. So I myself really am not a fan of, and I know people will argue with me to say, oh, but they get results, look at the marks, look at the child's success. But I say, look at the child, look at their mental health, look at the amount of authenticity they have. If you can show me that both are retained, then yeah, you may convince me. But from what I see, all the kids I see, the school system wants to remold a child into the image they need. And most parents are quite happy with that because it gives them the parent boxes of achievement to tick. So yeah, my topic started off at one end and went all the way to the other. But we don't have anyone watching the live, it's fine. I wasn't actually planning to make a video. My next appointment has just arrived, so I must get ready. Hope you have an awesome weekend.